Hey, this is the World Advice Channel too. What I want to talk about today is the most annoying thing about the black community. So for this video today, I'm going to discuss the most annoying thing about the black community that not only is annoying to deal with, but is also something that's holding us back from seeing further progress. Okay, so now I mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to the topic of the most annoying thing about the black community, the most annoying thing about the black community is debating black people, um, is having discussions with black people for that matter about black issues. Okay, you know, and this is the most annoying thing about the black community because the reason why it's annoying is that usually when you try to actually get your points across, even when you're not saying anything offensive or anything, you always notice that either two things happen: either your opponent tries to shout you down, or secondly, the people in the group, in a lot of cases in the background, are supposed to be neutral, try to shout you down. And this is extremely annoying, because the truth of the matter is, when it comes to this particular issue and why it's so fucking annoying. Yes, I said F word. Is that the truth of the matter is, when it comes to a community of people, okay, and anyone who's black already knows by day one that you're probably gonna wanna, if you're discussing topics like related to race and stuff, be very careful and not try to say anything that's super offensive. Like, for example, make a statement like, for example, saying that, okay, like obviously something like common sense, like, oh, was a Confederacy actually racist, or bringing up some other point that actually can come off as genuinely offensive, or something like just saying anything that's actually genuinely offensive. But the thing I have noticed, I have seen numerous times before, is that every single time you say things, even when you're being your very best to be as non-offensive as possible, like you're not saying the stupid things that obviously can cause it. Whether you could say, "Oh, all white people are evil. It's time for us black people to rise up." Whether it could be something like that, or it could be something like, you know, um, or something else. Maybe like, for example, say something insensitive about the black community or something like, in any way, shape, or form. Like, make a statement like, "Why do so many black people get caught up in crime?" And so on and so forth. And every time you make a statement, for that matter, you always like try to back up your statement and say, "I know the majority of us are not like this," or whatever. You do everything to kind of make it as clear as day that I'm not trying to be offensive. Even still, they get offended, and they always make a freaking big scene about it. They always want to make a fuss about it, and it just gets freaking annoying and irritating, for that matter, okay? And this is the most annoying freaking thing about the black community. They always do this all the freaking time. You can't say every and anything on your mind, even in a debate session, without it some way, somehow coming off as offensive to someone, even though you did everything to not come off as offensive. And the truth of the matter is, the main reason why it's annoying is that how are we gonna really make things better in the black community if we're trying to actually, you know, like have a discussion about it, which is one of the ways, surprise, 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 we actually make sure things actually change. If every single time I'm trying to say something and try to give an idea like what we could do to help the black community, or maybe talk about some of our issues we have and stuff, I always some way somehow manage to offend someone, and they try to create a scene and they try to shout you down for what your opinions are in the end of the day, to put it bluntly. And that's the truth of the matter. For anything to truly change, whether it's based on a leader, which I personally suspect is the best way to make things change instead of relying on a group of people, the thing I have personally realized, though, is that you still at some point need to have a group discussion about it to kind of change people's opinions. But if you can't even have a group discussion, because I'm scared I might say the wrong thing in a wrong way that's going to offend someone, when I made it as clear as day I'm not saying anything racist, then why the fuck do I even want to be there in the first place? And that's the biggest problem I have with black people when you have debates with them, okay? Because in the end of the day, you always try to do this stuff. You're not being saying anything genuinely stupid, and then they always somehow get offended and make comments like, "Oh, okay, so what now? So what now? You're trying to tell me you're this and you're that?" And it's like, what the hell? And the worst annoying ones is when the whole group in the background, who are supposed to be the neutral ones, and some people just come sometimes to the place uninvited, start saying, "No, don't say that, and don't say that publicly." And Don't come off, say that publicly or this and that, or make a statement like, no, you're wrong there. No, we don't want you to go down. And then they turn it from something where it's like, okay, we're trying to have a debate about something to something where it comes off as, okay, we're trying to give you advice on what to say and what not to say and how to see the world. And it just comes from something that was actually supposed to be debate to now it's a full blown freaking argument, you know, and let alone therapy session, which just makes it even more depressing and even well not even depressing, it just makes you even more freaking vexed. And that's the biggest thing I will tell black people, like, please, if you have anything you want to discuss it with a small group of people. It doesn't matter if you think you know that person. You don't really know who they really are in the end of the day. And it's just annoying. I've had to do we as a black community have to deal with this shit all the time. Just you say something and they always try to make you know make a freaking scene about it. And let's not forget the most infamous annoying one. You know, you might say something and it happens to be at a certain period of time, you know, or something where it's maybe some situation happened where some black kid got shot or something by the police or something, and then you mention something and then they all want to shut you down and say no, you're wrong there, and then they try to take a newspaper and show you what about this situation, and it just gets really annoying, in honesty. And I know other communities of people do this too, but for our community, it's the absolute worst, and it's extremely annoying. Because the truth of the matter is, this is what people get wrong about debates, especially in the modern day world, which thank with CNN and so on and so forth are highly responsible for. Okay, in the end of the day, is that the truth of the matter is the point of a debate is to actually be a more humane way to resolve disputes instead of relying on violence. That's why we develop debates, because it makes it more possible. We can kind of realize, okay, we kind of have a common goal instead of having to rely on violence to make our things change. Because in the past, that's why one of the reasons why they had so many wars. Debates was not something that really existed back then, or it was not really thought of that much. And that's one of the best ways to prevent conflict in any way, shape, or form, whether it could be war or just simply a full blown conflict that, of course, no surprise, gets physical at some point. But if you're going to be around someone who every single friggin' time you try to have a debate with them and they try to shut you down and talk down on you, then maybe it's best we don't go to have the debate in the first place, which of course, no surprise, can lead to conflict. And a conflict, what I mean by conflict is violence. Because why don't let alone any self-respecting human being, want to go to a place where I will explain things as clearly and as inoffensively, and they're trying to make a freaking scene about it? Okay, they're trying to make a scene about it and try to talk some crap about you, and then they all shut you down, and then they try to make it something about in life you need to learn to not do these so and so things. Why would any self-respecting human being who loves themselves, okay, whether you straight up love yourself or even have issues with self-esteem, any self-respecting human being want to put themselves in a situation like that? And they do this all the time. This is why whenever I'm around black people, I don't have any real like hardcore discussions with them, especially if it's a large group, because this bullshit happens all the time. It might work a few times, but then there's always that one time someone tries to pull off that type of shit. And I'm certain a lot of black people who have had discussions and debates, particularly pertaining to our community, have had the same exact freaking situation. Even making something as simple as even something positive. Like, for example, do you know we at least have the most dominant music genre in the world? Like, there's still positive things about being black. They don't even want to talk about that. They want to talk about what does it have to do with anything. We want to talk about the issues in our community, but all they do is spend all their time 24/7 talking about the negative stuff, and it gets fucking annoying. So why don't I just not go there in the first place? And that's the truth that I'm trying to get across here. Why don't I just not go there in the first place? And the truth of the matter is that way of thinking is dangerous, because if we have that way of thinking and we have that way of behaving, it will lead to violence. Look at human history for that matter, how much violence we've had. But if, besides the end of the day, why would someone want to go to a place where they're going to be disrespected like that? And have a whole group of people tell them no, or tell them, or try to tell them off or something, so it feels like the whole world's out against you. That's why I don't have discussions with them. I don't have time for this shit. What matters most, if we really want to get shit done in the black community nowadays, is we simply have to rely on leadership. And someone who's very straightforward and is not going to talk around the points and views the world as subjective NAACP or some bullshit type of way, because I don't have time for this stuff. I don't care. I don't have time for this shit. I just don't want anything to do with it, to be honest with you. For that matter, to put it bluntly, we've had, as a black community, had to deal, us free thinking, intelligent black people have had to deal with this stuff for years now. And it's annoying. I'm exhausted. I'm tired of shit. Even thinking about it enrages me. So, truth be of the matter to be told, we need to realize in the end of the day, the best thing to do is just focus on changing things. Straightforward. How can we improve jobs? How can we do this? Why am I going to waste my time having no fucking debate with some goofy ass kids who later on you're not even going to hear much from in life? Okay, so that is the truth of the matter. So anyway, this is my video, and this is off to say I hope you learned something. And just remember, if you like this video and videos like this, remember to sum this video up and hit the subscribe button. And this is all I have to say, and simply put, I'm out. So bye.